We can magnetize things to us tomorrow if we wanted, literally. If there is a set time for something to happen, we can align that into our reality. It's all energy. Hello gorgeous souls, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos today. So today I wanted to do a mini video all on divine timing. What is it and what isn't it? There is so much confusion around divine timing, what it is, what you should be doing. Is there this divine time in life that our manifestations come in and we can do nothing about it? So I want to bust some myths with you today and share from my perspective and teachings what I align with, what I resonate with, and what really helps me in my manifestation practice when it comes to all things divine timing. But if you're new here to my channel, then welcome. My name is Emma. I'm an award-winning life coach, 3 times best-selling manifestation author, law of attraction YouTuber here on my channel, and I'm the host of the #1 spirituality podcast on iTunes, Aligned Abundance. And here on my channel, I cover all things manifestation, law of attraction, spirituality, and self-help. So not only do I really hope you're going to enjoy this video, but the abundance of videos here on my channel over the last 10 years. So what is divine timing? Well, in the manifestation sphere, there is a lot of talk about something called divine timing and this divine time in our life that our manifestations can come to us. So although we set our intentions, go along the manifestation path, we take aligned action, we meet the universe halfway, we let go, we receive, is there this divine force, this divine time as such in our life that impacts when our desires come to us? So when someone might be waiting for their desire, a lot of the time what I hear is, well, it's just divine timing. I'm just divinely waiting for my manifestation to come. Now, I used to sit in this camp, and I, over the years, have obviously heard this teaching, obviously was like, yeah, obviously that's how it works. And went along my journey and realized, this is actually really disempowering, this teaching. And I don't agree with it at all. I agree with it in some parts, and that's where what I will talk about is soul contracts, karmic contracts, all the different energetic laws of the universe. But really, I don't believe divine timing exists in the way that it is currently taught. I just believe that it's misunderstood. It's not that it doesn't exist, that it's just misunderstood. So how do I see divine timing? Well, as I've said, I do believe that in some instances, there are better seasons of our life for things to come in. So if it was not for your highest good to manifest that job, that relationship, whatever, in that season, then I believe that the universe absolutely does divinely protect us and aligns things at a certain point when we are able to receive them and hold our desire. Because remember, you don't just want to manifest your desire, you want to hold and sustain it. You want to keep it. You want to enjoy it. You want to actually have your manifestation in your life. So I believe that, and I've witnessed this in my own life as well, even when I met my fiance Alex, I met him 2 months before we actually started dating, but I knew within my soul that those 2 months before was not the right time for us to come together. I was not in the right headspace. I had inner work to do. I was still releasing things and closing up a karmic contract elsewhere. So I knew that that would absolutely have not been the right time for me to step into a relationship and for us to, still be here getting married now. I don't think it would have panned out like that. So maybe it would have, who knows? But I do believe that energy and those lessons were so necessary for me to be able to be the best version of myself, to step into a relationship and be in the place to hold and sustain that desire. So I do think there is some divine timing sometimes, absolutely. I've heard it in my communities around jobs, especially, of people going for their dream job, being convinced they're going to get it, doesn't work out for whatever reason, they're gutted, they've had that setback, they're like, what the hell was all of that for? And then a couple of months down the line, the person they employed, it doesn't work out. They get the call and they get this dream job and they think, how weird. And then I ask them and I say, okay, let's look at that. Why do you think now was the time that you received the job, not 6 months ago or however long it was? And a lot of the time what I hear is, this was so much better. This was the best time to receive it. It was like more money, a better deal, things aligned better. They're in a better space to receive it. So I can absolutely see examples of divine timing in everybody's life around me and my own. So I do think there are seasons and cycles that are better times to receive things. I do absolutely believe in soul contracts as well, which can sometimes be predestined events and predestined timings. Karmic contracts as well. There's a lot of things. The law of attraction is one of 7 energetic laws of the universe. So it's 1 out of 7. We have 6 other energetic cosmic laws influencing our life, our energy, our experiences. So I do think that they also contribute to our existence, to our experiences, and to our manifestations. That's why it's so important to work with all of them. So I do think in some instances there are examples where it's better times to receive things. But overall, I don't think divine timing is this like, you can't receive your desire until the 2nd of February 2026 at 11:11 a.m. I do not believe it's that at all. It's not rigid because, as we know, time doesn't exist in the universe. So divine timing is not a set date, a set time. It's a set energy. And I think that's where we need to really shift our awareness and perception of divine timing from more of a time to an energy, to a frequency, to an alignment. So I actually see divine timing as alignment. And when people trap themselves in what I call the waiting room of life, this is where we get to the point of getting stuck, stagnant, and waiting on divine timing. So whenever waiting on divine timing is not a waiting room. You're not waiting for a bus. Get up out of the waiting room of life and realign your energy. Divine timing is alignment. It's not a time, it's an energy, an alignment, a frequency. So if you are feeling stuck or stagnant, or you feel like you've done all the things, but you're just waiting on divine timing to bless you, there's realignment that needs to happen here. You need to become the version of yourself who has your desire. That realignment and alignment process is the manifestation process. And if you weren't in alignment with it, it would be here. So it doesn't mean that we can't manifest things into our life. Look at my example with my relationship. Look at other people's examples with their jobs. We can manifest those things, but in order to be able to fully receive them and hold and sustain them, we have to be that energy and frequency. And that's where the universe sometimes protects us by allowing us the opportunity to be that energetic frequency and really powerfully step into it. And that's what magnetizes it to us. So it's not the universe holding it away from you. It's all about magnetism. It's all about being the energetic match for that frequency to match. And this is why I love always bringing the radio analogy into alignment work, to get you to see this analogy when you're thinking about divine timing or manifestation. Imagine a radio frequency in your car, like a radio. When you want to change the channel because a really annoying song comes on, you don't buy a whole new car, you don't buy a whole new radio, you just press a button and it switches the channel to a different radio station. And then the frequency changes and boom, there's your favorite song. You're in alignment, you're feeling so good, and you've hit that amazing radio station that you love listening to. And all you did was change the frequency. And that is exactly what manifestation and alignment work is. You're not becoming a whole new person, a whole new you, obviously your frequency up levels, you don't have to chuck yourself out and become a whole new person. You are just changing the frequency. Same with your desire. It's not about chucking all the work away that you've done towards your desire. It's changing the frequency, changing the action, aligning with the timeline, the frequency of what you want to experience. So as I've said, divine timing is alignment. It's an energy, it's a frequency. It's not a waiting period. The universe is waiting for you to take that action to create new energy, create something different, to magnetize that into your life. So divine timing isn't excuses. It's not an excuse to be like, well, I'm going to do nothing because I'm just waiting for divine timing to bless me. It's not an excuse to do nothing. There is always something you can do. There is an aligned action you can take here. And I always use my book proposal as the perfect example of this. When I was writing Aligned Abundance, I'd gone along a certain journey with a publisher for a year. I had gone along every option, everything that I could do. I was convinced they were going to publish it. They were telling me they were going to publish it as well. And it didn't work out. And obviously I was like, great, well, what do I do now? I know this book needs to come out, but I have no other options, universe. I've poured everything into this for a whole year. What do I do? So I could have sat there and just said, well, the perfect publisher will come up and I just need to sit here and just wait and just hope that the perfect publisher is going to come forward just magically and, really want to publish a book. And this particular proposal I have, but I knew that that's not what divine timing is. And it's also not what alignment is in the very book I was writing. So what I did over that period over Christmas is I realigned the whole proposal. I wrote that a year prior. So you can imagine the upgrades I'd gone through, the lessons I'd learned. I'd gone through so much of leveling in that year that book, I was like, yeah, that is not me. That is not who I am here and now. So I realized I was pitching a book that wasn't even in alignment with me anymore. So I spent a couple of weeks upgrading. I deleted 15,000 words, rewrote 10,000 words of the new manuscript. up-leveled every single chapter, changed the whole proposal. Every single part of it was brand new. And it just matched my energy so much. It matched what I knew at that point Aligned Abundance truly was. And it is the book that you read today. So I felt so magnetic and so in alignment once I'd redone my proposal. It felt so freaking amazing. And I knew that that was my best work. And I knew that it was the best book that it could be. So I knew it was in alignment at that point. And this is why it needed to happen, to give me this opportunity to make it the best book that it could be and to match who I was in this season. And once I had, I kid you not, within 2 weeks, my current publisher reached back out to me and said, oh, you know that book we looked at last year? Can we look at it again? And I was like, sure, I've just upgraded the proposal. So it's going to be a bit different to what you saw last year, but here it is. Yeah, let me know. And within 2 weeks of that, I had the signed, sealed book deal, which never happens. It takes ages for these things to go through in publishing. So it just proved to me without a shadow of a doubt that it was nothing to do with divine timing. Maybe to some degree, I had to go along that year journey with that other publisher to get to this place, to be ready to embody what I'd learned in that year to put in that proposal. So that could be divine timing, absolutely. But it was that divine timing of Watkins coming back in once that proposal had been up-leveled to offer me that deal, and magnetically and quick in that aligned abundance way. So yeah, I think divine timing played into it, but I didn't allow divine timing to be my excuse to do nothing, because you can see from that example, I aligned my energy, I upgraded my energy, I matched the energy of the version of myself who was writing Aligned Abundance, and that's how it came in. So don't see divine timing as an excuse to do nothing. There is always something you can do. And I don't want to say that, you know, there's just more action you can take, or there's more, you need to remind those people again of your desire. It's not always about that. Sometimes it's an internal shift. Sometimes it's a mindset shift. Sometimes it is upgrading the proposal like I did. So look at where you're in the waiting room of life. You're not waiting for a bus. Time does not exist in the universe. So where are you making excuses of doing nothing because of divine timing? Divine timing also isn't fixed. I think a lot of the time people assume that divine timing is a fixed time, a fixed point that can come into your life. Now, maybe there are some soul contracts at play that could potentially be dictating that to some degree, but I don't think we're ever going to know all the ins and outs and workings of soul contracts or how the universe works with that. That's our job to discover in this lifetime. But I don't believe that divine timing is fixed. I believe, and I've seen it so many times in my own life and others' lives, clients' lives, communities' lives, friends' lives as well, of we can magnetize things to us tomorrow if we wanted, literally. If there is a set time for something to happen, we can align that into our reality. It's all energy. And I've been told this by psychics before. One of my amazing psychics, Rachel, has always said to me, you are someone that I could give a timeline to and say, you know, I think you're going to manifest it in this point. And she says, you'll manifest it tomorrow. She said, you are the type of person who can move timelines, who can magnetize, because you do the work, you do the energy work. And the good news is we are all that type of person. You know, someone who's not necessarily doing the energy work, yeah, their timelines, their expectancies of things arriving might absolutely be very fixed or, you know, be more predictable. Whereas when we are working with energy, we can literally magnetize things to us in an instant. It's all alignment. It's all frequency. So now I've shared what it is and what it isn't in my beliefs, of course. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on divine timing. And I think, you know, my views on divine timing is always going to evolve as we go along our journey, as we grow, experience things more. But that is what resonates with me here and now. But what I would really love for you to take away and think about from this video is, what is this season of life blessing you with? Because I think a lot of the time with divine timing, we're always waiting for something. We're just waiting for life to get started. We're waiting for that desire because it's going to change our life. There are so many blessings here in this present moment. So I want you to think about and journal down, what is this season of your life blessing you with? Because there are blessings even here and now that when you tap into, you're going to magnetize your dreams and your manifestations so much quicker. So what is the blessing here and now? You might think, oh, that's so hard to think about because I just want that desire so much and I'm just waiting for it to come into my life. But that's the problem. When you are feeling that lack, you're going to manifest more lack. So when you get into the present moment and get grateful for where you are and what this season of your life is teaching you, and I always use this example of, I used to be the type of person who'd be like, I can't wait to get into a relationship with my husband, blah, 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 blah. And then I really changed my mindset when that wasn't working, clearly, to be like, actually, one day I will live with a guy and I'm not going to be able to, design my house exactly how I want it and have pink cushions everywhere and, be messy or whatever, or, see my friends all the time and go on girly holidays all the time. So I really started to get into the present moment of all the things that I would miss once that relationship comes in. And it's not that I couldn't do those things, obviously, but, I wouldn't have as much time for those things. And then when I met Alex, I was then like, oh, I can't wait for us to live together. And I was like, oh my gosh, stop this. And then I was like, wait, when you live together, you're going to be around him all the time. So how can you be grateful for this beautiful home you have right now? And I'm so glad I changed my mindset to really appreciate that, because I truly appreciated that house. I had the best 7 years in that house, before I met Alex and during our relationship. So I'm so glad that I didn't take away from those experiences. And then naturally you're like, oh, I can't wait for us to get married. And I was like, no, because one day you will be married. And there's so much joy in dating. There's so much joy in being boyfriend and girlfriend and all the joys that come with that. So that's an example in my life where I've had it come up a few times, but I always reframe it into one day those things will happen, this too shall pass, and one day you'll be in that dream job, you'll be in that dream house, that dream relationship, and you'll look back and think, God, I really wish I'd appreciated that time, or I really wish I'd been more present, or I really wish I didn't take for granted all those things that I could do, or all those things or opportunities that were there for me right there. So I really want you to tap into those here and now. Don't be that person that looks back with regret. You can tap into the blessings here and now and what you can enjoy in your life here in this present moment, because things will change. Everything changes. We live in a cyclical nature. So this will pass too this time, and you will have your desire because it's already yours. You know that. So it's all about taking gratitude in this present moment for what you can appreciate here and now. I also want you to think about whether you feel overwhelmed or not clear on your next best step. Is this what is contributing to your block with divine timing? Do you just feel overwhelmed? You don't know what to do. You feel like you've been doing all the things and you're not even sure what your next best step is or your clarity. I've got a meditation that I'm going to link below to help you with this, to get unstuck and get that clarity. Because if clarity is the block, it's not divine timing at all. The universe is waiting for you to have that clarity to take your next best aligned step. Which leads me perfectly on to the next thing that I would love for you to reflect on, is that maybe you're trying to figure out the whole staircase. We never know what the whole staircase looks like in life or in our manifestations. We only ever take our next best step, one step at a time. And when we take that step, the next step appears. So if you're trying to see all the steps and see all the hows and how's it going to happen, what's it going to look like, you're getting stuck in the hows. You're trapping yourself with trying to see the whole staircase instead of just taking your next best aligned step. So I see this so often with aligned action. It blocks aligned action because we believe that divine timing is like just gonna magically come along, when actually when you take that next best step, you step into alignment. And remember, aligned action is not called perfect action. It's called aligned action. So it has to be in alignment with you. Sometimes aligned action looks messy. Sometimes it is just putting one foot in front of the other and taking that next best step. So always remember, as long as it feels good to you and it feels like a hell yes and it's in alignment, that is the right step for you. And finally, I want to give you my sat nav analogy. Just get going. When you go on a journey in your car, you don't know all the roads it's going to take you along. You don't know all the streets and everything that it's going to lead you down. You put in your destination, you hit go, and you drive. So this is the same with manifestation and divine timing of enjoy the journey. You don't know the beautiful mountains that could come up, or landscape that could come up, or beaches, coastal, that could come up in that drive. You don't know all the things or the routes. That is your phone, your sat nav's job to work out the route for you. And that is what the universe does. It works out the best route for you. Your job is just to get going, just to put your car into drive and start going. So this is the same with your manifestations. Let the universe handle the route. Let the universe handle the streets, the directions, everything. You just have to listen and you just have to be driving. You have to be in that driver's seat going. And just like you trust your sat nav to get you to your destination safely, it's the same with the universe. Put that trust in the universe. It knows what it's doing. It's not your job to micromanage. It's not your job to know all the hows. That is not 50%. That is 90%. So come back to that 50% and step back into alignment. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you and given you some clarity on what divine timing is and isn't. But I would love to hear your thoughts, what resonated with you. Has anything been that aha moment for you or a shift in what you were doing before? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know and love to celebrate you. And as always, I'd love to know what your version of divine timing is, what you've experienced and felt in your life. And also everything that I've mentioned as an extra resource will be linked in the description below. But thank you so much, gorgeous souls, for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because we'd love to see you again soon. Don't forget you can also join my Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls, where we talk all things Law of Attraction and spirituality. I hope you have an incredible week, whatever you are up to, and I'll see you all in my next video, which will be next week. Lots of love!